Well, this is the day in Home Depot here. I figured this is a good time to just explain some electrical things. You're working on an investment home, you're doing a turnkey, maybe you're looking to invest. You got to know what you're looking for and what you're buying, what you need. There's different lessons, of course, in electrical. So I thought I'd spend a little time with you this morning. You have decorative, of course, outlet covers. This is certainly something that's good. Different types of switches. You know, when you have these types of switches. Oh, look at this guy here, decorative. Yes. You're wondering what is the difference between all these different switches. You even have, you know, ground fault receptacles, which in a lot of times in law of the local code, you have to have these anywhere within 6 feet of water. So this is important. You have outside boxes. But what are all these things? Where do you use them? You know, you even have commercial grade outlets. You know, where are these used? You know, you have different sizes, 15 amp, 20 amp receptacles. You even have a ground fault. Now this guy doesn't have a button, right? So this guy doesn't belong in a bathroom, does he? This is for isolated ground. If you ever look at an electrical panel, you'll see all the whites in the grounds go to a bus bar, okay? That bus bar is for the entire home. But when you have an isolated ground, it doesn't go into that bus bar. It goes into a bar of its own that has an isolated ground outside where they take a 10-foot pole and drive it into the ground. I guess, of course, in Home Depot we hear all these announcements. So that becomes an isolated ground. Why do they do that? Well, if you have an appliance that goes haywire, let's say, you know, whatever the reason, you've seen arcs before, I'm sure, with sparks and stuff, when something gets crossed with white and black. Well, that could send a arc right back to the box. It could melt a wire inside a box in the house and close the entire circuit. So what this does is independently, of course, has a ground. The wire itself becomes its isolated ground right back to the box and then to outside to a ground, you know, a ground pole. So this is certainly something you learn about when you play with electrical. If you do, of course, hire the professional, of course, I would always say. But lessons to be learned. Here's to save a little room, 2 switches in one box. You're putting a ceiling fan in a room. You know, that's an idea. But if you notice, it says it's only 15 amp. Okay. Here's 3-way switches. What's the difference between 3-way? Anybody know, of course, about those kind of things? 3-way switches. You have 2-pole, which has 2 black, 2 brass. Single pole, see, has 2. Has 2. Oh, look at that. There's a brass and a silver. Ah, this one has black and black. And of course green for ground. So you got to know what you're doing with the 2-pole, 3-way switch, 2-way switch, all these different things. That's when you walk into a house, you have the front door and you have a back door, but you want the same light fixture to be controlled by the same switch. Alright, so that is wired a little bit differently than a typical. Now you have a 3-wire system, which one becomes a traveler, and the traveler goes to the second outlet. It shows you right in the back of the box actually how to wire it, so that's certainly something that's helpful. But I always say follow what you take apart, make sure you label everything, or make sure you know what everything is, what it went into. And of course that would help you as well. But there's always YouTube on seeing how that's done. I'm going to do a video on wiring, of course, again. So I just thought I would do this one to start with. But I'm going to do some more here. My walk today in Home Depot.